Hey there, everyone. Today we are going to talk about System80's 810 analog voice for Eurorack. This is a vintage Roland type voice for Eurorack. Let's start with a simple overview of the module. We have one VCO. We can choose 4 different waveforms that we're going to listen right now. So even though it's normal, as I just want to listen to the VCO alone, I will patch it to one of the output here. So we have sine wave, square wave with pulse width modulation, saw wave, and triangle. You have a keyboard input, fine-tune, octave selection, a sync input that we will see later. This is to control the pulse width, and we have 2 FM inputs, and this is the output. There's no multiple outputs per waveforms, and all this goes to the filter. You can listen to the filter. It's normal to the VCO. So in the filter we have the VCO plugged to the first input, and here normal is a sub, which is 1 octave below the main frequency. On the back there's a little header where you can choose if it's a -1 octave, -2, or another -2, like on the SH101 basically. Too bad it's not on the front panel though, but anyway, it's there. So on the filter we have 2 audio inputs. We can choose to bypass whatever this is. We have 2 mod control the frequency, one being bipolar, an attenuator, and we can control as well the resonance. Finally, this all goes to the VCA, which has the output of the VCF normal to input number 1. There's 2 other inputs there, so you can mix other signal into it, and there's 2 control inputs. There's also the initial gain that lets you drone away. And you can choose if the VCAs are exponential or linear. So far, so good. Let's plug this thing. So I have the keyboard pitch output to the keyboard in here. And I have the gate out going to the dual ADSR by IntelliGel, which is, I guess, the most System 100-ish envelope that is not Roland. So what you need to get going, as this has everything you need for the sound part, but there's no modulation. So you need an envelope to at least open your VCA. By the way, I'm going straight out here to a pedal that we are going to use later. But I mean, you can definitely use this as your output if you just stay careful on how much you send as a control. So let's make a typical patch, and I'm going to send that envelope as well to the filter. Let's listen to different waves of the triangle, and sine are not that great with the filter, but the triangle or sine with the sub. can let you go into a bit different territory than usual. The key steps are perfect for this kind of thing because they have a sequencer that's really close to the one on the ACH101, so you can just press record and get going. So as we hear, as we have two envelopes, let's use one to modulate the pulse width. So when you are on the square and set something to modulate the pulse width, this becomes an attenuator. This can be used as a sort of an LFO. Yeah, we can hear it a bit more like this. Let's use the inverted loop to modulate the filter as well. We could also mold the keyboard to one of the control inputs of the filter and get filter tracking. There's also 12 dB slope. That's quite nice, especially when used with more soft sounds with long attack. We have also the control over the resonance, where I send the LFO here. Also is an attenuator when you patch a control to it. Let's go for a little sequence jam. Okay, here's another fun little setup. I have this pattern going. Let's listen to just this. So far I have a very minimal thing going. The only modulation is the AR envelope going to the VCA over here. trigger here for one of the decay envelopes that I will plug to the filter. To make something a bit more plucky like this. Now I have this fusion modulator thing that I will use as my LFO. And I will use it to modulate with the bipolar out the pulse width. Let's try to get something. Okay, that's cool. We can add a bit of sub to this. Also, I've used this on the Stereo CD, which is a trigger on MIDI channel number 10. Let's use MIDI channel number 2. And so this is going to be some sort of an accent that will just trigger an envelope once in a while. And this envelope is going to be a tiny bit, just put it at random over here. This one's going to modulate the filter as well. Yeah, see? That's one of the good things of having multiple inputs to control the filter, is that you can go with multiple things. Let's add some vibrato with this one. Bipolar as well. Vibrato is always hard to dial in, so if you have an attenuator before, it might come in handy. One more pattern. So first, I added some of the white noise from the fusion modulator here. I have one decay envelope controlling filter, the AR still on PCA. I have a bit of delay and reverb from the tracker. So when you patch something into there, you lose the sub. Video, I just have to switch like this, but know that if you want the sub, you have to get another mixer and get stuff into this input one. I still have this LFO doing the pulse width, and I have this lane of CV here doing some stepped modulation, and it's pretty cool. And I'm in 12 dB mode. Get a bit more bite. 24 dBs, nice as well. It's a different mood. Another way of getting those stepped thing would be to use the clock here. Clock the sample and hold, because there's a sample and hold in that module that's fed by the noise, so I get random stuff here. Different divisions. I could also use the gate or trigger from the MIDI here, so I will have the same rhythm that what's playing here. which is sometimes quite fun. Let's listen to it on its own glory. A last tip that's worth mentioning while we are still on the tracker plus little skiff here. So I'm still in the triangle with noise thing, just an envelope going. If you want to keep the sub, but have the noise as well, you can use the noise as a modulation source. So now I have my square wave back, so I can have that mix of triangle and square that I do like. And I can use the noise output here to make the filter move. And I like to use noise as a modulation source. Just makes everything a bit dirty. Doesn't sound the same at all, but still, it has something. Could also just bypass the normal oscillator and have just the sub and noise. I do like the sound of the flip-flop sub generator like this. The noise as modulation is a bit harder to dial in, but one thing I'm curious about that I actually haven't tried before would be to use the filter to process audio. So I've added the ears over there and sent the little jungle break that I have on the tracker playing here. So no saturation here, just normal. Actually, it does sound pretty good. Let's try the 12 dB. The VCA does clip, does it in a quite nice way actually. I don't hear any distortion that I'm not happy about. Let's use the envelope out to control the resonance, just to see. That's nice. What I like to do with this kind of thing is to use the gate to trigger some kind of step modulation. Also, as we are not using the VCO, let's use it to modulate the filter at audio rate. As I still have the MIDI plugged in, we could even control that. We could also add it to the filter. Some fun stuff to make over there. The filter is self-oscillating, of course. So you can do, instead of using the VCO as your VCO, you could make some FM stuff like this. Using the VCO as the modulator and the filter, self-oscillating filter as the carrier. Actually, also do the opposite. So this would be the carrier, and we can use the VCF out as a modulator. This is probably easier if you want to make something that tracks. We can add the sub into here as well, which is worth probably mentioning. Got a few weird stuff to make with this. Okay, here we go for something fun now. Here I have the production unit that I've been showing you since the beginning. And here is the prototype that Jeff from System80 sent me when I done the video manual for the 880 here. And so, as I had this NiftyKEYZ here, I had to try to make the Jupiter 2 modular, like a two-voice synth. So I have two 810 Fusion Modulator, 86 dual ADSR, and just the blender to mix the two voices together. Cool thing here is that we can take advantage of some of the cool things. Like the velocity just on one filter. You could invert the envelope on just one other filter. This is a nice moment to try the sync option. So instead of modulating the pulse width, let's modulate the pitch of this one. One thing I'd like to do is to use one oscillator into, like, straight into the 860 in bandpass mode and add it to one of the VCA. Let's disable the chorus. Back on something. Okay, quickly, a last thing on the sync. Here I have a patch with this being the master. I'm going to remove this one and only listen to this voice here. So we can hear like the typical sync sound. This is the master. We can use the RYK sync. It's a bit weird, it's in between. It keeps some of the detune, but still. So it's nice if you want some sort of buzzy sound like this. And here I've added some random modulation from the NiftyKEYZ LFO. And I can add that master voice. Thank you, Jeff, for sending me this module and trusting me again to make a demo for it. I really like it. It sounds awesome. I've been having lots of fun just with the prototype that I've had since a bit longer. And the two are definitely going to be used a lot here. Thanks to everyone who watched that video. I hope it was helpful. I make a little sample pack of this beast for people who are supporting me on Patreon. Go in the description if you want more info about this. Many thanks to everyone who is already supporting me there. And yeah, thanks. See you next time.